Have you ever encountered a hurdle with launching or growing your business? Listen, there are two things that run a business: the back end and your soft skills.
Telling you right now, if these aren't in place, you'll lose clients and you'll lose money. You don't want that? Well, you're in the right place.
Hey, I'm Dana.
Hey, I'm Sarah.
We're your hosts of the Entrepreneur Encounter, and we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes glance into our businesses, give you genuine feedback, tips and tricks, plus occasionally bring on guests that care about supporting you to grow your business organically and nurturing authentic relationships. Are you ready?
Today, we're diving into a powerful intersection where science, energy, and emotional intelligence collide with the world of business. We want entrepreneurs to understand that success isn't just strategy and hustle. It's mindset, emotional state, and the energy you bring into every decision. Now let's get into the episode. Welcome to the show, Lachelle. We're so excited to have you here today. Can you tell us a little bit about you and your journey and how soft skills have impacted your life?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Girl, I feel like this has just been such a crazy cool ride. It's funny because I've been thinking a lot about our conversation and what we're going to be talking about with soft skills and business ownership and entrepreneurship. And I want to just say that I feel like my journey was exactly the way it was supposed to be. So my background actually is in anesthesia. So I'm a nurse anesthesiologist. In 2016, I was introduced to my first online business. And honestly, it opened my eyes. It was almost like I went from black and white to color. And the way I'm going to describe this, you guys, is that I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I got my bachelor's, my master's, my doctorate. I was literally teaching for the best nurse anesthesia program in the world, doing all of the things I always wanted to do, but didn't realize that things were missing. And then I started to expose myself to different things in the entrepreneurial space. And I recognized that I could have something called the and life, which means that I can have a life of being challenged and fulfilled and grow and learn and be impactful and be more present mom and wife and get the time off that I need and to travel the world that I go want to and all the things. And so it was like, holy crap, like this is possible. And previous to that, it was like I was the mom who tore into the daycare center at like 5:59 when they closed at 6, hoping I wasn't going to get charged. This wasn't the life that I really wanted. And so going back to your question, originally, it's like, sometimes I think back and like, oh my gosh, did I waste all this time? Like if I would have known that I had this spark for entrepreneurship early on, like would I have done everything that I've done? And the answer is that everything's perfectly perfect and that everything led me to where I need to go. And the cool thing about my background in anesthesia specifically is that I had to learn to get somebody to trust me in 3 minutes or less with their life.
Yeah.
And so when you think about it, like everybody, you meet your surgeon, you know that your surgeon is skilled. You've gotten a chance to ask them questions. You know who's cutting you open. But people don't realize that in anesthesia, I literally am in charge of your entire life. So the surgeon might be operating on your knee, but I have the rest of your body. I'm monitoring your heart and your blood pressure and your pulse and your blood pressure and your anesthetic level and your pain level and your nausea level and all the things. I'm keeping you alive. So I get to essentially meet somebody 3 minutes before they're rolled back into the surgery room. And I get them to understand that I've got you and you're going to be okay. And I'm not going to leave your side. And I do things specifically to make them feel like they're the most important person in the room, not just a number on a sheet of like, we do 5 of these today and you're number 3. It's really important to me that I help them see that they are the most important person to me in this moment, that I have all the time that they need, that they are being taken care of, they're being heard. It's so interesting because I love the fact that I have that skill and can use that in entrepreneurship, right? If I feel like I'm in a sales call and I feel like I'm just a number to this person, that they're not listening to me, that they didn't take the time to actually look up my information about myself before we got on this call. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, you want to be seen, you want to be heard. And if you can make somebody feel like they're the most important person in the room at the time, and you can make them feel like you're doing what you can to empathize with them and to understand where they're coming from and that you get them, you can transform the relationship faster than you ever could if you're not doing that.
It sounds so simple, right?
On paper, right? Oh, totally.
But Everybody, they're in a different journey. They're going through different things. To me, it's easy. Like, I enjoy having conversations with people. And like, okay, if I'm having a conversation with you, you're all that matters right now. But I see it a lot. Entrepreneurs get so overwhelmed. They're like, okay, I got to do this and I got to do this and I like all these things. But it's like, let's focus on this first and then move on to the next.
Yeah. And Sarah, you guys had asked me about my secret sauce, I guess, and all the things that I do in my business is this really cool combination of brain science, quantum physics, and scripture. And when I found this cool trifecta of bringing those forces together, like people can be unstoppable. And so I'm just going to tell you that when it comes to soft skills and when it comes to the things that we just talked about, yes, I could certainly list off a bunch of things like, okay, look people in the eye, give them a firm handshake. When I'm talking to somebody pre-surgery, I actually find a chair or a stool and I sit and I'm at their eye level, not talking down to them. I use a smile. COVID was hard for me because my mask was covering my smile. Those are basic things. Any of us could Google them. I could write a blog about it. But what I'm going to tell you guys is that there is something so much bigger going on that you can't even see in the quantum physics and brain science space here. Okay. So can I just geek out on this for a little bit with you guys?
Ooh, geek away. You're in good company.
Okay, cool. So there is science behind why what I was doing was working. And it has everything to do with the biofield in which my body and my energetic field around me was impacting their biofield or their bioenergetic field around them. So I'm going to break this down like super simple, like 7th grade cobwebs coming out. But we all remember from 7th grade science how the building blocks of all things in the world are made up of atoms. You probably remember that. And atoms, all they are simply is just a tiny little nucleus with electrons that are rotating really fast around it. And so if you think about that, every single thing in this world, it doesn't matter if it's the hat I'm wearing, it's the microphone in front of me, if it's my arm, everything is made up of atoms, which means that everything is literally just a bunch of electrons moving in circles constantly. So everything is in motion. Okay? Simple as that. If I can give you some real life, like break this down into like, okay, I just still don't get it. I am sitting in my office right now and my dog is in the living room. My door is shut. Okay. So there's a wall. I can knock on it. It's solid. The door, I can knock on it. It's solid. But if somebody would pull on my yard, my dog would go crazy and I could hear her barking in this room. How? The wall is solid. The door is solid. Sound travels through the wall and the door. Why? Because things are not actually solid. Things are actually constantly in motion and that sound just made it through the dead space in those rotating electrons. Kind of cool. Okay. So if we recognize that, every single cell in our body is made up of those same atoms that are constantly in motion. And if you were to look at different, say, thermo cameras, you'll actually see almost like light permeating from us. And that is picking up our biofield, is picking up the energy in which those electrons that are rotating around us are basically creating this energetic field around us. Kind of cool.
Yeah, it makes sense because, again, when you're talking to somebody, you're near somebody, you can feel that.
I mean, Dana, like, I'm going to ask you, like, have you ever walked in a room and you're like, ugh, something's off in here? You know what I mean? Like, get me the hell out of here.
Yes, I have. I feel like even if you like go into the grocery store and there's someone that like you don't even know, and you're like, maybe I don't want to be near this person. Or you walk into, I'm going to use the co-working space that I'm a part of. Every Wednesday we have a mastermind and you walk into the room and I couldn't even fit in the room this week. There's that many people, but the energy, like I didn't feel like I was left out. I was just like, hey, I'm here too. Don't forget me.
High vibes, baby. Absolutely. Okay. So this is so cool. Thank you so much for those examples because so this is what happens, you guys, is that MIT scientists have actually been able to quantify the ability for our body and those electrons to be moving around based on our feelings. Okay. Now let me break this down for you. Our thoughts are what create our feelings. So if I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling, I can 100% in certainty trace it back to what thought did I just think right before that feeling. Okay. So why that's really cool is that our thoughts can actually help to create the feelings that we want. Now, listen, this is so neat. There is something that I use all the time called an emotional vibrational scale. And what this does is it tells us how fast our body, those electrons are rotating based on the feelings that we have. So if I am feeling feelings of love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom, my electrons are rotating super fast. We measure how fast those are going with frequency or hertz. So when I think about that, when I'm feeling love, joy, peace, gratitude, freedom, my electrons are going crazy. My frequency is higher. My hertz is higher. So 700 plus hertz is what happens in my body, in my biofield, when I'm feeling those feelings. You can probably even tell that just listening to me, my voice is a little bit higher in octave and my voice is fast. And without me even trying, if I started to say to you that at the lower end of that scale are things like hopelessness, sadness, despair, victimhood, shame, guilt, without even trying, my voice got lower and slower because my electrons started to rotate slower. We measure the speed of them through frequency or hertz. So 20 hertz, low frequency, is what happens when I'm thinking thoughts that lead to feelings of helplessness, sadness, hopelessness, guilt, shame. Following me?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that we're having this conversation because when I hear hertz, I think of music. So listen to music all the time. I don't know too much of it, but I love your explanation about it. There's some artists that will purposely put different hertz in a song. So to make you feel it.
100%. In fact, I actually have a software that I use with my clients that can analyze 10 seconds of your voice. And it can pick up where you are at emotionally, subconsciously, or consciously, and what blocks you might have energetically, and will give you a prescription of music to listen to balance those out of range emotions. It's really cool.
I'm going to use that as the perfect segue. How do you take that knowledge, like that approach, and help business owners, individuals implement this knowledge and principles in their lives?
So this is what I'm going to tell you guys, is that going back to my original demonstration of me talking to my anesthesia patient, here's the thing that I want you guys to get from this. It's not what we do, it's who we are while we do it.
Okay.
Not what we do, it's who we are while we do it. So that means that as an entrepreneur, I can give you a script and I can say, here, this is what you should say in your sales call. And it might work for you, Sarah. It might not work for you, Dana. Why? It's because it's who you are while you do it. Meaning that your biofield that you bring to the conversation is going to be impacting the person receiving it.
Interesting.
Okay, so I'm going to break this down. I'm going to give you a little bit of science, and then I'm going to help you understand how to implement this, okay? So this is what's so interesting. We already talked about it. Our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings impact how our body is vibrating, moving, and influencing, okay? You guys are younger than I am. But back in the old days, we used to listen to Casey Kasem's Top 40 on the radio from his studio in LA. Now it's Ryan Seacrest or whoever is doing the Top 40, right? And I remember sitting in my little bedroom in Minnesota, and I would have my mixtape ready and I'd record the Top 40. How in the heck was I able to pick up Casey Kasem's radio station in LA in my little bedroom in Minnesota? I had the frequency turned into the radio station frequency that matched it. So what happens is, you guys, is that when you are around people, my biofield entangles with, or my electrons dance around their electrons. And that's how we influence each other electrically and energetically. So that's why, Dana, if you say I walk into a room and it just or the grocery store and you're like, I don't know what's up with that chick. I don't even know her. I've never talked to her, but I'm going in this aisle.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you go into another room and you're like, oh my gosh, or you meet somebody, you're like, I need to be around this person more because your electrons are entangling with each other and their energy is impacting your energy and your energy is impacting their energy. It's so interesting. And now I'm going to bring in brain science to this. Your brain has a part of your brain that's called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons are what are picking up this electrical signal and this energetic signal and interpreting it in the subconscious level. So that's why you're like, I don't know, what is up with this chick, but there's something off. It's because the mirror neurons in your brain are assessing that energetic and whether or not you're a match or whether or not you're repelling kind of thing, if that makes any sense. Now, this is going to go a little bit to a place where you're just going to have to trust me. Okay. But when I talk about Casey Kasem and Ryan Seacrest and the Top 40 and the radio station, we're really talking about radio frequency waves. I think we've all heard of them, but there is something in the quantum physics world called scalar waves. And scalar waves are able to intertwine and entangle regardless of location. And there's no in radio frequency wave, just like if I was driving down the interstate and I would like lose a radio station that I've been listening to for the last 50 miles because I get further away. And then all of a sudden I lost that station because radio frequency waves get weaker with distance. But scalar waves have zero impact from distance. So I can literally, you guys have probably had this happen where you think of somebody that lives across the country and the next day they call you. Has that happened to you before?
I don't think I've ever experienced that, but like I've heard people talk about that. Or like when your ears ringing, I don't know how true that is. Like your ears ringing, right? Someone's talking about you.
So it doesn't matter. And so scientists, the things that I've learned are from things that they've literally used in the cosmonauts. They were able to read energy and treat people from space because of scalar waves. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is that it doesn't matter if it's just me and you sitting in our office on a computer. We can read each other's energy and feel each other's biofield. It doesn't matter if I'm sitting next to you. If it doesn't matter if you are the recipient of a Facebook DM, the energy that I put into the conversation on my end is received by your biofield and interpreted by your mirror neurons. So if I am in the process right now, so Dana, you were asking, like, how does this imply? So if I'm like, okay, I need to follow up with 3 people today and I'm not feeling it. I don't even know why I'm bothering. Nobody's buying anything anyway. And it's so frustrating. But I'm like, I told myself I was going to do it. So I'm just going to do it. And then you just like type your message, same words. And then another day you're like, oh my gosh, like I just believe in this so much. Like I can't wait to help these people. And you send the same exact message with the same exact words. The person receiving the message is going to be affected by the energy in which you had when you sent the message.
I've noticed that. I've seen that happen with myself. It's pretty wild.
So when we're talking about soft skills, it doesn't matter if I'm the person that's entering a patient's room before surgery. I got to clear my shit. I got to make sure that I'm deciding to put myself, my mind, my energy, my feelings into a space where I am making them feel heard and seen. Mm-hmm. There's a difference between do these things and doing them from like a core gut energetic space. Like I could tell you, yeah, you should just sit across from people and not talk down to them. That's different than really owning that and who I'm being while I'm doing it, because there's science behind why it works from the energetic standpoint that we can't even see. So if you want to get further in your conversations, you want your sales calls to actually work, you want your DMs to actually convert, you want your social media posts that you just made to be more effective, think the thoughts that create the feelings of the energy of the highest level of vibration and allow that to be able to be infused into the message so that the person that's receiving it is actually getting more than they would if you hadn't.
Okay.
I love everything about this. I'm speechless, honestly. This is awesome.
So I am like a blend of woo-woo manifestation and then I need logistics.
Totally.
So
yeah.
Are there specific habits or routines that can help entrepreneurs reinforce this mindset on a regular, consistent basis?
Yes.
So that energy is sent through with the message?
100%. And this is the thing. I love people that have conversations like this with me, Dana, because I was like this too. I'm a scientist. I was a researcher. I have my anesthesia medical brain. So like, I wanted to understand, like, you're telling me that this is the case, but I want to know the science behind it, which is why I started studying quantum and brain science. So what I would say is that from the brain science perspective and real life application perspective, Dana, it really just comes down to something very simple in that our thoughts are what create our feelings are what create our actions, and our actions are what are creating our results. So if we can just break that down into thoughts, feelings, actions, results, and I recognize that I have the power to influence and control the very start of that domino, which is my thoughts. So if you can learn how to really capture your thoughts, and this is where like I geek out and I bring in scripture to people, because there's a lot of people that are like, but this seems really woo-woo, whatever. And I'm like, all of these things come in. It's like, we are told to capture our thoughts, hold all thoughts capture. We are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And this is what that is. It's like, I capture these thoughts. I capture the runaway train of negative self-talk and mean girl in my head. I capture the thoughts that tell me that I don't even belong here and that other people are further along than I am. I capture the thought that I'm not worthy of charging this, or I capture the thought that everybody thinks my product is too expensive, so nobody wants it. And I capture the thought. And when you notice it, then you can do something with it. So I capture it and I say, okay, is that true? In my field of work, I wear a lot of hats, but ultimately with my clients, I'm a butt buster. What does that mean? It means that I love to find people's butts and I like to put cracks in them. So a butt is a belief underestimating truth. Like, I would love to make more money, but I just don't have the time. I would love to have a big social media following, but I don't know what to post. I would love to charge more, but I don't, whatever. I'd love to hire somebody to help me, but I can't afford it. So what are the buts? And then asking ourselves, is that true? And oftentimes our beliefs, our buts are actually untrue statements that we've accepted as true. It's like, okay, so I capture this thought, like, Lachelle, you suck. Nobody wants to buy what you have. And then you're like, okay, but is that true? Well, no, I guess I do have some customers. So some people like to buy what I have. So even if you can put a little small crack in your butt, like, it's going to help it not to be quite so strong and so stable. I know I'm a nerd. Like, I like to be punny, but once I recognize it and I see it and I'm aware of it, now I can ask myself, is that true? And then I ask myself, well, what is true? What is true? I mean, other people are selling this product and other people are buying it. And this person over here is doing really good. So yeah, I guess that's not true. And so then what I tell people is, instead of your butt, I go bit by bit. Belief as a inspiring truth. Belief, inspiring truth. So belief is that I can learn how to do this even better. The belief is that some people are buying this and I just need to find them. The belief is that I can do this and I have done this before. And then I have to just reintroduce those new beliefs, those new thoughts, those new patterns. And our brain can reprogram itself, called neuroplasticity. Our brain can actually rewire itself. And it takes a couple of things. It takes, number one, repetition. Mm-hmm. And number two, it takes emotion. So what is emotion, guys? It's energy in motion. And so what you're doing is essentially creating, if I can take a belief and I can repeat it, an affirmation, for example, and I add emotion to it, I am essentially adding like fuel to the fire. Okay. I'm energizing that belief. And so if you can think about it, it's like a well-worn path in the woods. The first time I go through this path, it's going to be covered in brush and branches and leaves and all the things that I'm having to trudge through. And the more I do it, the easier that path gets. Repetition and emotion create that path that all of a sudden, what happens is the old beliefs start to wither away. I can tell you that there's actual brain chemistry and the myelin inside of your brain cells get smaller. So there's physiological reasons why this happens. And what happens is the more you repeat it, the more you add positive emotion to it, like gasoline on the fire, the more those brain pathways become your new pathways.
And I see this as like hyping yourself up too. Like, yes, it can happen. The confidence, the self-awareness that you bring into yourself, because yes, all of us have been there where we're like, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this thing, or whatever it is. But then you have to step back, either like talk to yourself and like, okay, ask yourself questions. And then you can go have a conversation with somebody as well and just like, hey, and talk it out and then unwrap it all and come to the end and say like, no, that negative stuff is not true. I'm good. I can do this and you'll be great.
Yeah. Dana, I'm curious on what's going through your brain right now.
So literally before this, I had a call. Essentially, the focus was on me feeling like I deserve a higher price point. Raising my rates is just something I'm not good at. But I was talking about the things that I do outside of this podcast. But now I'm looking at it through the lens of energy and the which I'm emotional anyway. So there's that. But tying that belief, almost like a manifestation, and matching that energy so that I can work through that process. So that's what we essentially mapped out, was like, what are you going to do today? And what are you going to do for essentially the next 90 days to not even comfortably, but consistently show up so that I can remind myself that I am worthy of XYZ, fill in the blank based on the conversation.
Yes. all of those things. So I'm a manifestation specialist, and I found that there are 7 things that get in the way of our manifestation. And you're not alone in this. The first one is just recognizing that we hold our own power and that we have the power of our choices and that we're not victims to anything, that we always get to rise above. The second one is having confidence and belief in you, that you specifically have the ability to do this, that you are beautifully, uniquely equipped with the knowledge, the skills, the experience, the passion that you have that nobody else has. And it's deciding and figuring out how you can accept your worthiness and that you are special and that you are uniquely positioned for this. The next one is having connectedness, knowing that you get to connect to things that are bigger than what we can see. And I love helping people understand that there is a whole higher consciousness helping us guide our steps every single day. And when we recognize that we can tap into that and we can ask for guidance and we can accept help, and I teach people how to actually ask yes, no questions to be able to know what they should do next. All of a sudden they start to feel lighter and they don't have the weight of the world on their shoulders anymore, and they feel clear. And guess what happens? Again, the vibration goes up. The next one is having the courage to be able to do the things that scare us. The next C that I have is all about having the clarity of your vision and knowing what exactly you're good at and what exactly your clients need and how you get to be the person that articulates that and helps them with that. The sixth one is all about consistency. How am I showing up? How am I being, integritous with my word? Like I said, I was going to do it. Now I do it. And the last one is being able to conquer that resiliency, that knowing that life is going to go up and down, but I get to stay up here regardless. Because here's the thing is that we are going to attract, because of resonance energy and entanglement and all the things that I just said, you're going to attract the people that are aligned with the energy that you bring. This is a great example. If I show up and I am doubting whether or not I have what it takes, I'm doubting whether or not my product can actually deliver what I want it to, if I am wondering if I'm just not as further along as the rest of the people and that maybe this isn't worth it and all the things, even though I might say the right things energetically, I'm giving off this little bit of insecurity. And then there's other people who are just showing up and they're like, this is what I have. I don't discount it. I only take 6 people per year. If you want it, you do. If you don't, you don't. And people are like, yep, I'll take it. It could be the exact same program. It could be the exact same game skill set, but this is coming back again to who am I while I do it? So all of these things can sabotage us. And so that's what I work on with my clients are those 7 blocks to flow. People ask me all the time, how do I get into flow? It's not about getting into flow. It's about freeing yourself of the resistance points. And those things that I've listed are the resistance points that I see from manifestation. So when you can start to accept that I get to control this situation as the first cause and the cause of effect relationship, that I get to believe that I'm worthy and that I'm special and that I'm clear on what my purpose is and that I know that I'm divinely guided at every second that I choose to accept that. And that I get to show up consistently because that's the person I'm choosing to be. And that I get to allow myself to just flake off the things that are bothering me and I get to show up regardless. You get into flow and things just start coming to you easily because you're there and you're vibrating that frequency and you're vibrating with the things that are coming to you. And all of a sudden, you will find that you will have a conversation with somebody that literally changes your entire business. You'll have an idea, a download that shows up out of nowhere. They're like, holy shit, like, how did I not think of that before? You will have people that will come into your life.
I've had that thought.
What I'm saying. And so it's because you were at the frequency of the solution. There's always a solution. Every single time there's a problem, the solution coexists at the same time. Every single time. It's just a matter of, are you at the frequency? Have you tuned in to 98.6 to be able to receive the actual solution? And oftentimes what happens is when we have a problem or when we feel like we're focusing on something that we don't want, we realign ourselves energetically with the problem. Meanwhile, the solution exists at a different frequency. And so I tell people, like, a download for my signature program, Spiral Up, is literally the foundation of everything I do. And it was birthed from an idea, a download that came to me while I was hiking in Utah. And I had been like praying on it and problem solving and talking to people and brainstorming and trying to figure out, like, what's my thing? What's my thing? What do I do? It wasn't coming. It wasn't coming. I was frustrated. I go on vacation. I stopped thinking about it. I raised my vibration. I'm living my best life because I quit my job and I had this ability to travel the world now. And I was like doing the things I'd always wanted to do. And out of nowhere, the idea comes. I literally got home from vacation on Saturday. I had a live launch scheduled for Tuesday. I was going to launch completely something different, but I'm like, nope, this is what I'm doing. And I live launched this new idea 3 days after vacation, 5-figure launch. The rest is history because it came when I was at that right vibration and I took aligned, inspired action with it, and it just flows. It doesn't have to be hard, but we allow for these different pieces of resistance to get in the way of our being able to manifest freely.
Yeah, and I think that's why we need to step away from our desk and go outside.
Totally.
We do have episodes about that very specific topic.
Do something that's not sitting at your desk. And now that we're having this conversation, I'm going to say it right now, everybody's going to have a great day today. Like, that's how I feel. I woke up tired and like, oh, whatever. Like, today's going to be a day, not like a bad day. But if you think like that, then that's going to be your day. But then when you start to have conversations, to me, conversations light up my day. Like podcasts with Dana, like with my husband, like whomever. Like if I have a conversation, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm ready to take out my day. And I think that's a lot of the times too, like as an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting out, you may feel like you don't have anybody to talk to. But that's what we always tell people. If you want to talk to us, just send us a message. Like we're here, have a conversation, hype you up and do all those things. So
totally. Yeah. When I think about Dana, your specific situation and how we can tie it all into like a practical thing that people can do that tie in brain science and quantum physics, it's the power of visualization. And I think that a lot of people like, yeah, I've heard that before, like whatever, it doesn't really work. But for real, like I have clients that I take on my high-end luxury retreats every 6 months, do this where they record what they would love in their life into their phone memo, and they have them listen to it every single morning before they get out of bed. When they record themselves, they're saying it in high vibration. So you're doing it in present tense. It's like, oh my gosh, I cannot even believe this is my life. I am so happy and grateful that I've been getting up, going to the gym every day. I feel strong. I feel fit. I love what I see in the mirror. I feel sexy. My husband and I are in love. We're connecting. My relationships are so great. My kids are fantastic. I love what I'm doing every day. I love the fact that my podcast is in the top 1%. I love the fact that I'm serving clients at high level and that I have raised my prices 3 times and it feels good. And I'm making more money than I've ever made before, working less. Everything's in flow. I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm giving back. I love the fact that I'm serving this charity and that charity, whatever. Okay. So they say it and then they listen to it. And what they do when they listen to it is they are allowing the activation of all these different senses. So I want them, when they're listening to it, to close their eyes and imagine what they feel, what it feels with tactical, like their fingers, what they're smelling, what they're hearing, what they're tasting. I want them to feel what their emotions are. I want them to imagine what they're wearing. I want to imagine like what they are experiencing on a daily basis. And what that does is it activates your energy, obviously, but it also activates those same mirror neurons that I mentioned before. Those mirror neurons cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. Those same mirror neurons, if I were to ask you right now to close your eyes and imagine that in your hand, you were holding a half of a lemon and you could feel the lemon and you feel how hard it is. And then I'm asking you to take that half a lemon and put it in your mouth. Does your mouth salivate a little bit?
No, my mouth is watering.
Like your brain cannot tell the difference, which is why we get so worked up when we imagine the worst case scenario and then our heart rate starts to beat and our cortisol levels increase and all the things because our brain cannot tell the difference. So if we can do that to ourselves by worrying, why the hell not execute this with what we want? So what happens then is that we start to tell ourselves, our brain, our mirror neurons, what our life is like and who we are and how we carry ourselves and who we're talking to and what we're wearing and whatever. And I got to tell you, people like, oh, well, I told myself that I have the identity of somebody who goes to the gym every day. So guess what happens? They get off their butt and they get their clothes on and they go to the gym because you're telling yourself who you are. And when you take on this, it's called the law of assumption in quantum physics. So when you take on this law of assumption of who you are, you're embodying her, you're embodying the future version of yourself. Dana, you ask yourself, well, what does it mean for me to be $1 million business owner? What does she wear? What does she look like? Who does she talk to? Who she's surrounding herself with? Books is she reading? What is she doing in the morning for her morning routine? What is she doing at night before she goes to bed? What does she do before she gets on the sales call? What does she do before she posts that? What does she do before she sends that message? And you embody her.
Mm-hmm.
That does to your freaking energy, guys. And then all of a sudden, because you've identified as her, you stop hitting the snooze button. You started going to the gym. You're like, holy shit, I'm having conversations that I said the same thing before, but now all of a sudden people are buying because it's not what you do, it's who you are while you do it.
I am very big on like the intent behind an action, almost to the point it gets on my husband's nerves. I'm like, well, that's not really what they meant or whatever. Like the intent matters in actions. And so that's one of the back burner thoughts I've had this entire episode is like the energy behind it or how fast are my hertz going when I do reach out on a coffee chat. If I'm not like mentally ready to talk to someone, but I do it anyway because I don't want to reschedule, that flow does go differently.
It's totally different. Yeah. And I would love to give you guys like some real practical tips. Because what if you're like, Lachelle, let's just freaking be real. Like my life is whatever. I have Zoom after Zoom after Zoom today. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm going to tell you guys that you can use this visualization to like imagine, even if it's 1 minute before, you can imagine that sales call is going amazing, that you can imagine and visualize that this person is like, yes, like, can I give you a deposit now? I want you to imagine before it happens that this is going to be the best interview you've ever given or the best sales call you've ever done, or this is going to be like the post that is going to give like the most engagement you've had all week. And imagine that beforehand and allow your mirror neurons to align your energy because your thoughts create your feelings to the people, the conversations, the frequency. A law of attraction can bring that into you. And it allows your energy shifts to be different. So visualization is huge. The other thing that I do, I adapted this from Tony Robbins. It's called the triad of emotional state. So sometimes just moving your body, motion precedes emotion. So even sometimes just like you said earlier, Sarah, like going on a walk, that's moving your body. Sometimes I just throw on some 90s hip hop for like 30 seconds and dance her out. 5 seconds of running in place can shift your energy. Walking around the house, going up and down the stairs, or just like moving your body a little bit shifts your energy. Focus. What am I focusing on? That's the intention behind it. Like, well, maybe I'm going to focus on that visualization of like, this is going to be the best sales call I've ever done. This person's going to sign on the dotted line. Do you know I'm going to show up differently when I just assume that they're going to sign up versus when I'm hoping that they do? The desperate energy creeps in. So I'm focusing on what I want to see. And then the language. So that triad is body or physiology, focus, and language. So if I'm telling myself, why are you even bothering with this? Nobody's going to read it anyway. Nobody's going to sign up anyway. Nobody wants to pay what you just raised your prices on. You're going to get that result because that's the language you have going on. But inside, if you're like, you got this, you are freaking amazing. Every single skill that you have has brought you to this point. And the person that's on this other end of this line is exactly been praying for what I have. And you tell yourself that and you give yourself a pep talk, you're going to show up in a different energy than you would have if you didn't do those things. And guess what? That can take approximately 15 seconds. It doesn't have to be.
I have a theme song. Like I put on a song if I'm having a bad day or if I'm about to get on a call with somebody, I put on this specific song.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel better.
You get it.
I definitely get it.
You totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you're hype yourself up, like say like, yeah, you got it. Like you are going to get this.
Yeah. I joke around in my book that I wrote, which is called Get Out of God's Way. And it's all about how we self-sabotage. And I said that I have like 2 voices in my head. And I joke around, like one of them's called Sharon because she's always sharing her opinion, whether I want it or not, like, rah, 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 right? And then the other one is, I named her Katie because it just sounds like upbeat and cheery. And so it's like, I can either listen to Sharon telling me like, why are you even doing this anyway? Or I can listen to Katie being like, you got this, girl. Like, come on. Like, this person needs you. Show up and show them, whatever.
So good.
I love that. I feel like we could dive deep into this so much more. But for the sake of our listeners, I think we just need to have you back on as a guest. But where can our listeners find you, connect with you, all of the things?
All the things. Okay. So my name is not easy, but I've kept it easy for everyone. So my name is Lachelle. So it's Lachelle. Wieme, Wieme. And you can find me everywhere with that handle. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, all of the things is at LachelleWeemy. You can find me at lachelleweemy.com. And you can Google me or go on YouTube and find me. My podcast is on there with branded under my name. So you can definitely just make it easy on yourself and search my name and you'll find all the ways to get me.
Awesome.
Simplicity is best.
Yeah, right. Keep it simple. So all of the information is going to be in the show notes, all the contact information, all that stuff. Until next time.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Remember, soft skills aren't just some fluffy buzzwords that get thrown around in the corporate world. They're the key to unlocking your full potential as a professional and a human being. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself and seek out opportunities to improve your soft skills. Sarah and I have a variety of workshops, online courses, and complimentary clarity calls for you to practice in real time with us. Links are always in the show notes. And be sure to join us next time for more insights, tips, and tricks to help you succeed in your entrepreneur encounter.